In the Round took a detour to Blue Ox Music Festival in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. The lineup was stacked with names you know, like Greensky Bluegrass, St. Paul and the Broken Bones, Margo Price, and Molly Tuttle, who all absolutely crushed it, of course. But we wanted to touch on a few others you may not know. We run through a few highlights from this fantastic festival and share exclusive interview content from artists you'll want to add to your playlist right away. Let's get to it. Hello, In the Rounders. How's it going? We are here to talk about Blue Ox Music Festival. Woo woo. I'm here with Brooke and Laura from the team. They got to go up to Eau Claire with me. We ran around and covered the festival and had just an incredible time.
Oh, yeah.
So much fun.
Yes.
Super fun.
We didn't sleep at all. It was great. Which was part of the fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We went on sweat fumes.
Yeah, sweat fumes, right. The good vibes, the good music. That's what kept us going.
Yeah.
For sure. The festival starts off on Thursday, which we actually talked about. We really liked that aspect of it instead of continuing on through Sunday, because then you could, get home and rest up before the week. So things kicked off on Thursday, a bit of a rainy day. Quite a rainy day, actually. Let's be real.
A little bit of a washout, but but horseshoe and hand grenades came back on like after the rain, and they brought it, and they brought the vibes. And even though it was a rainy Thursday, I feel like it totally redeemed itself.
That's so true. Like, I what a burden in a way to have to bring the vibes up immediately after a rain, like a pause in the rain. Like, our dear friend Molly Brandt was supposed to play the backwoods stage and got rained out, and it is what it is. But yeah, the vibes were really good. Horseshoes and hand grenades brought it, and the crowd was just like into the mud, I feel like. Or they were just like,
yes.
It's this festival's been going on for this was the 11th year, I think. So I think people are used to all sorts of weather happening, and they were just still there to party and brought their
nothing
ponchos.
they haven't seen before, probably.
Yeah, right. Yeah, who knows? I wonder if there was ever a year with like hail or something. I mean, you never know up there. But Thursday was still fantastic. We had a great chip conversation with the Happy Trucker crew, Happy Productions crew, which is like, we talked about chips like we do on this
Chip Club
podcast.
Chip Club.
Yep, it was pretty impressive.
Lots of opinions.
lots of very strong takes, I would say.
Queso Fritos, right? That was the big takeaway.
Was it Fritos or was it? Now I can't remember, but yeah, a queso flavor of chips.
Queso flavored Fritos, I think it was, which I was like scared of, but still.
I would actually love for the listeners to send in their favorite chip, like send us their favorite kinds of chips, and we could just do a whole taste test. But anyway, back to Blue Ox. So we had so much fun meeting people. Even in the rain, we kind of all huddled down under the artist lounge tent, and it was so cool to see people kind of mingling. And the festival had such great accommodations for the artists and the crowd, of course. Camping for acres, it felt like, and acres and acres and acres.
Beautiful. I mean, it's just to be tucked into the forest and the trees like that, it was magical.
It really was.
We got some of those magical like sunset shots through the trees. It was just a beautiful place to camp.
The art installations, I would say, was one of my favorite parts. Just walking along the path to the backwoods stage, seeing all the different kind of macrame hangings and hammocks everywhere. It was really nice.
Yeah,
that is absolutely true. Those like lit up at night was just an extra level of magic. And I think right when we parked, I was like, we got out and I was like, you can actually smell the pines. I mean, I know we made that joke, the Eau de Claire.
Oh, yes.
But it was. Yeah, the setting was magical. The art installations, there was a glowing cube. There was this like flowing stick installation. There was the Blue Ox Shrine.
The ducks.
Yeah.
Did you see the fountain as well? There was a fountain that I wound around some other path at one point and just stumbled upon a beautiful fountain. It was really nice.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. So much magic. There were all these like hidden corners of the festival. One morning we did yoga and it was out in the field, kind of in the very corner of the festival, but it was so relaxing, and the sun was beating down. It was really pleasant. They have all these different activities and things going on throughout the festival, including a workshop, which we did a couple different days. The first one was it was about resident guitars, mule guitars, and Charlie Parr. And Charlie Parr is an incredible artist. We got to see him at Greenbelt Music Festival, and we actually got to catch up with him after the workshop. So here's a clip of our chat. You were talking in this workshop about going to the library when you were really young and renting records and taking out records. Was there someone in your life, though, that taught you music when you were really young or inspired you?
Well, yeah, records.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, my dad and my mom, both of them were really, really big music fans.
Okay. Yeah.
Nobody played in the house, but they wanted to. And so I was given every opportunity to play an instrument because it was very important. We listened to records every day. There really wasn't a TV presence in our house, but there was a massive stereo in the living room and this really shambolic collection of records that my dad worked in a packing house. Both my parents did. They worked in the Hormel packing house. And they'd come home, they'd work 12-hour days, and my dad would put on a stack of records and just sit down and listen to records. So, and his record collection was so varied that stack of records could include Lightnin' Hopkins, Lefty Frizzell, Johnny Cash, Sing Along with Mitch, the soundtrack to Mary Poppins, And all of it was good, though. My dad didn't like, he wasn't a genre guy. He was the music I like is the music I like. I like this music. It's all here. I'm going to play it all the time. And I got way into music even before I was really able to understand what I was listening to.
Oh my God, I love Charlie. It was like really good for my soul to chat with him for a few minutes. I think we all walked away being like, yes.
Yeah, that was a great interview. He had a lot of good insight.
Yeah, I really want to bring him back for a full episode and spend more time. He's like everyone's favorite uncle that you want to hang out with. I don't know. He's just really positive and has so much experience, and watching him play those guitars and talk about kind of creating custom guitars with mule guitar. I mean, that was really wild.
Yeah, very cool.
Which I think my favorite part of that workshop was just hearing them kind of talk about the difference between a musician and then someone who's creating the tool for the musician. I've dabbled in music, but I don't really play guitar, and so hearing that and just the way it was explained and understanding how he kind of has given different insights to the people who create the musicians, who make them, who fabricate them in order to actually make them a better tool for what he's trying to do, kind of outside the box.
Right. Yeah. It's like when you get to give feedback to Photoshop or DaVinci Resolve and you're like, hey, this editing tool isn't working, right?
If only it could do this.
If only it could be played this way. Yeah, no, I thought it was really cool to kind of dive under the hood of the logistics of that and, seeing what kind of influence an artist can have on the tool as well, the kind of back and forth. That was for better or for worse. I love their like sort of banter back and forth about that too.
Yes.
That was really great. And then seeing him on stage and seeing him play, he's so natural on I feel like he immediately emits comfort in his own body, he's just been doing it for so long. He's such a pro. But he's really genuine about it, and that's something I really enjoy about Charlie and his songs and his lyrics.
Yeah, just beautiful and full of soul, and like you feel it.
Yeah, you feel it. Yeah. He always has something to say. It's great. And then we ran into our friend Simon Croft, who is a Pass in the Round guest, who was playing with Claire Doyle, who we got to talk to. That's an artist new to us. She had on like the cutest freaking crocheted top and outfit and just beautiful songs that she played on stage. But we got to catch up with her in the artist lounge. So here's a bit of our chat. There was a great quote on your website about your writing style and how you really kind of dig into the nitty gritty of emotion. And There was kind of a great quote too about naming some songwriters like Jason Isbell or some bigger names that don't really use. I feel like they said it like they don't use their expertise in the experiences that they'd had. They don't talk about them as in depth as you do. Is that something that you feel? Do you feel like your songwriting is it tailored to your life, or do you kind of write esoterically, like, you know, outside the box?
Definitely tailored to my personal. Yeah.
Like, I can't not talk shit about my situation.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, I wish as an exercise, like I've been trying to get myself to just play around with being more hypothetical or imaginative, you know,
Yes.
with the writing.
Yeah.
But what comes most naturally is just as honest as hell, and very personal. And I think that is something that that's what's special to me about my favorite artists, is that they like don't shy away from really true stuff and like really specific personal, you know, whatever. So that's I guess what I like to aim for.
What I love about Claire's story is she went to the festival last year and now she's playing the stage. Like, I mean,
very cool.
It's such a fun, I feel like that's the dream. Like when you think about here in Des Moines, we had 8035, and that was kind of that ethos of that, of like kids growing up going to these shows, and it's like you can be on stage too. And I loved her trajectory.
Yeah, she's I like her style of voice. Like it's different, you know. That I really enjoyed her vocal.
Right. And it was so fun seeing Simon, you know, up there. He's so versatile and just the most humble kind guy. And so it was really fun running into him backstage. And I feel like we ran into a lot of kind of friends, obviously them Cooley boys and, you know, other folks over the weekend. But we also made a lot of new friends.
Tons of new friends.
So that was a really fun part of it.
Yeah. I think that's a great thing about the festival, is that everyone just makes you feel like your family. I mean, honestly, by the time I left there, I'm just like, I'll miss you guys. You know?
I know, like our camp neighbors kind of. Like
the girls with the flowers.
Yeah, Sound Beauty, that we got flower crowns and glitter. It was all like really leaning into that. And yeah, huge shout out to Karen, who assists with PR and all things with the festival, and Mark's, the festival organizers. The whole weekend really was just so smooth, and they were so kind to host us and let us run around and make silly, you know, really fun content. There was so much to capture.
So much.
I feel like, did we get our end total of steps?
We did. 21,890 steps just on Saturday alone, which I calculated anywhere from 8 to 10 miles-ish.
Wow.
So I guess give or take. And some of those were dancing steps. So, you
True.
know, we were getting them in that way,
Got
too.
a few
There was-
steps dancing.
Yeah.
There was dancing, jumping, being a bit of skipping. Remember the guy that
bit of
had a
skipping.
skip zone, and then
Yeah.
the Jenga piece, and we got temporary tattoos and stickers.
Yeah.
And there's just like there's a whole vibe there going on.
Yeah.
I was just going to mention my buttons from my new friends who were also friends of Charlie Parr. So that was one of my favorite moments, is just connecting with different people who, you know, had been to the festival. I think they said for the last 8 years they actually met there, and then they became friends that journeyed there to meet up every year.
Oh, that's so cool.
Gosh. I feel like there was a lot of that of like families coming together, but also couples and friends. And, you know, there was, remember the people with the arrows on their head? Like, so you saw matching shirts, you saw like arrows, which is brilliant because you could find them anytime.
I'm stealing
in the
that
crowd.
idea.
Yeah.
The father-son duo with the blue ox
Oh my gosh,
lit
the
up at
blue ox
night.
helmet. I
Yeah.
mean, people were really getting into it, and it was so much fun to
Yeah.
see different costumes and like different, you know, things. Even camping and being outdoors for 3-4
Hula
days.
hooping, bubbles.
The bubbles. Oh my God. Bubbles were like main character energy at this festival, which I really loved. Is they were everywhere. Those bubble guns.
Yeah, I've never seen so many middle-aged men play with bubbles.
Yes,
I mean, but
it was great.
they loved it, and I loved it because they loved it. So it was good.
Made for some great photos, too.
Oh, 1,000%. I was like, we should credit them almost in all our content. I'm like, and thank you to Bubble Bob or whatever your name is. It was so great.
Bubble Bob, Bubble Steve, Bubble John.
It's got to be.
Great.
And speaking of families, one thing that was really fun to see is a lot of the bands that were playing were camping with their families and things like that there. So they were run around with their own kids, and kind of even passing along the tradition of playing music together and things like that. Someone who's like very close to adding a family member was the Last Revel. One of their members had his wife come on stage. Her due date was that weekend. It was yesterday or something. She was 9 and some months pregnant and ready to pop. And he very sweetly sang a song, well, a couple songs about her, but brought her on stage and danced with her. It was the fill player. And it was just, oh my gosh, it was incredible.
Yeah.
It was really like, literally brought tears to your eyes because it was just so darling. But we also got to talk with them. They have a new record coming out in July and a lot of fun things going on. So here's our chat with these guys. You all seem like brothers, honestly.
Yeah. We're all from Wisconsin, Minnesota, so we're probably related.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But
some bonds are thicker than blood,
Yeah, music is thicker than blood.
Yeah.
Like chords and stuff. No, I feel that way with my band. I'm not actually, well, I'm sort of related in-law to one of them, but like in general, yeah. I very much feel like family. I feel like that's what makes you last, right?
Yeah.
It does, yeah. If there's no way out,
It's like a marriage. It's painful. You can't get out of this band. So I wanted to ask, who is Uncle Steve? Do you have an actual Uncle Steve, Weird Uncle Steve? Because that lyric in that song really, I resonate.
Yeah. Well, I think it just happened because everyone has an Uncle Steve.
Everyone has an Uncle Steve. This is true.
And I think it was Vinny who yelled it first. It was like, because the lyric was just Weird Uncle.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I think he yelled it at some practice or something. And I was like, that's hilarious. And now, I have a big old hungry horse, and we named him Steve because we had to have somebody in the family named Steve.
Yeah.
So now every time I yell at the horse breaking a fence or whatever, I think of that song.
Oh man, I loved meeting the Cody sisters crew, the trio, with again cool flower crowns, like they had the whole getup. But so it's the Cody sisters, and the two of them are actual sisters, which is fun, and you can kind of feel that energy on stage. I feel like they have really good rapport, and their bass player Will is fantastic, and like just the sweetest little trio. And what was interesting is they are from Colorado and they're in the Midwest playing a bunch of shows, but then they're moving to New York, like they're on their way, which is really cool. And so we were talking about that. We were able to catch up with them by our camp, by the really sweet camper that we wish was ours, but it's not.
Trailer Swift.
Trailer Swift. Yes. That was, oh my gosh. And then we saw them on the ride home. It was magical. Trailer Swift, you're in our hearts and minds forever. But here's the Cody sisters.
Megan and I are actually sisters. So
right, you got that vibe for sure. Yeah.
We've been playing together forever, but Megan and Will met their freshman year of college at CU Boulder. They were in the same dorm room together, so we played with our dad until then. And we found Will and we were like, Dad, we found a new bass player. But he took it very well, so we're good.
You're like, look, your arthritis is really starting to kill the vibe, Dad.
And he has a full-time job, but Will has been a great addition. We played with him the last 5 years now. So.
Oh wow! Oh my God! You all seem like little babies to me. So wow, it's amazing you've been playing together that long. And so you're from Colorado, and you're just telling me you're on tour / moving simultaneously to New York City, yeah?
Yeah.
And what's the dream there? Like, are you excited to take this type of music there, or did you visit and you were just drawn to it? Like, what about it?
Maddie and I at least have lived in Colorado our whole lives, and Will always likes trying new things.
Yeah.
So we're
here for anything, Will.
I like moving around.
Yeah, so there's a lot of bluegrass out there already, and we're also just really excited to try something new outside of our comfort zone and see what we can do.
Okay, something we haven't really touched on is the backwoods stage, which was such a fun. So the festival setup was great because you had your main festival bowl area with the main stage and what they call the saloon stage. And so you could basically be watching a band on the main stage, turn around and see the next act. And they really kept it tight. I mean, like, music would end here and it immediately picks up.
Yeah.
I mean, I was actually really impressed having worked on festivals and events like that. Like, usually it's not that smooth.
They had it down.
They really had it down. Yeah. And so then what you could do is take a little path through the woods, past the art installations and things like that to the backwoods stage. And there were some absolutely incredible artists that we got to catch up with there. We got to talk to an artist, Ben Mulwana, who lives in Kenosha, Wisconsin, but he's Ugandan. And it just has this really interesting mix of music that's maybe even a little different than what you typically hear at Blue Ox. But we were able to chat with Ben. So let's tune in. Ben, you just played an incredible set on the backwoods stage at Blue Ox Music Festival. Is this your first time here?
First time. Very first time for me, yep.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, your music is incredible. I love all the lush sounds, like the combination of genres you have going on. Who are some influences for you?
So growing up, I listened to, or my parents didn't let me listen to like Michael Jackson, Cyndi Lauper, but my neighbor did because they had a really loud radio. So I listened to that, Tracy Chapman, Bob Marley, and the Wailers. And so it's a diverse range of music that I grew up on, including my own traditional, African Ugandan music. So it's a kind of a blend of all those things together. I was actually honestly very surprised when, the festival was like, hey, we'll have you. I was thinking, I'm not bluegrass, but I would love to come down and just share my arts and share my music and see how you feel about it. So, yeah.
Oh, it's such a great fit. And for this stage, too, and everything, people were just chilling out, and but then also dancing their butts off. It was like such a great combo. And I hear a lot of those influences, like what you said, especially the Ugandan roots. There's there's a lot of really cool rhythmic stuff that was happening that I love. And
that's like a root for us. That's if the drums are not going, what are we doing? That at least in the Ugandan music. So that's even the storytelling element of it, which is something we do a lot, is do stories and share stories, whether it's at night, just for fun even. So you'll find a lot of that is I use just that influence or that kind of upbringing to inform my music too and lyrics.
We both get turned around.
I'm so excited because Ben, we're already talking about getting him through the studio and finding a date for that so he can hopefully come on and do a full episode. But just love seeing that mix of genres. And I feel like the backwoods stage was a really great spot for that. And last but super not least at all, Pert Near Sandstone. They're so special because they actually helped start this festival 11 years ago. So they're kind of the host band. And we were able to talk to them, and I just loved, it was so great seeing them perform too, but I want to play this clip of them talking about kind of how the festival came together and the ethos behind it. We are at Blue Ox Music Festival, which is a festival you started back, 11 years ago. Can you talk a little, I'm sure you've told the story a million times, but how did you decide to start Blue Ox?
Well, I'll start the story and then we can kick it down the road. But we were playing on the road. We were on tour in Denver playing with the Traveling McCurries, and a couple guys came up to the merchandise booth where Jay was working. They said, we have a festival in Wisconsin. We'd love for you guys to help us arrange a stage at the festival. And it happened to be the Country Jam USA, big pop country festival that the Bishop family had produced for decades. And they wanted us to help them do a little stage. And we said, sure, it sounds interesting. Let's come down and talk about it. And we arrived here and saw the land, and we'll kick it down the road.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah, and then we were like, what about just the standalone Americana Bluegrass Fest? Because the space is so great.
Made for it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, made for it.
It was just made for it. Yeah, like we stepped out. I remember the first day we looked out over the main concert bowl, and we were just like, oh my gosh, this could be amazing. Yeah. And we've been producing shows around mostly Minneapolis area.
Yeah.
but helping other like bluegrass festivals think about like who to book as we were moving around the country playing festivals ourselves. And so
Yeah, because you're meeting those bands and you're commuting with those people.
yeah, so we were just like, hey, this could be really fun. And
this could be our project.
We'd been wanting like a summer thing, and this turned into, I think, much more than we'd ever imagined.
Yeah, now it's massive. I mean, multiple stages. I love the setup here, like the flip back and forth between the main stage and the saloon stage. It makes it so easy to enjoy the day, and then you can go cool off in the backwoods and, hit up the potluck picking. We actually did the banjo workshop this morning, and it was so fun. And Charlie's workshop yesterday. What a fun way to engage with the artists. Like it's rare to get that kind of up close and personal interaction with an artist. So when did you add that in like early on, or when did those start?
Yeah, the instrument workshops happened a few years after the origination of the festival, but really we're just striving to have, an experiential event here. It's an immersive thing. It's not just standing in the sun listening to music, but you can play, you have your chance to meet the artist, you have a chance to, blow, dance in some bubbles. And
yes! Oh man, the bubbles have been amazing.
Yeah, the variety of ways that people can tap into this event is really how we picture the event and what we experience as a band growing up, and we want to provide that for other people.
So yeah, we were bumps on a log with Pert Near Sandstone out in the woods. It was so great. We're right by the campsite. One of them, they're, again, camping out there. Yep. They have their kids there. Yep. And when they got on stage, they actually do a big photo every year. And so I think we got a photo of them taking that photo and posted it in a recap. Laura nailed that. But it was this beautiful, like the sun was in the perfect spot. And the crowd, they were taking a photo with the crowd in the background. Their kids were out there. They had like people tap dancing. I don't know. It was magical.
That was cool. The tap dancing.
Like for rhythm. It was so great. They had the percussive element. Yeah. They sound so, you can tell that these guys have been playing together for as long as they have, and they're just so tight, Yeah. And they said they were touring to Europe very soon, which is amazing.
They're leaving this week.
Yeah, they're leaving this week. You're right. So we just wish them the best, and they were so, again, very kind to talk to us and to host us, and it was just really fun.
Yeah.
Gosh, so many other bands to talk about. Sam Bush, Warren Haynes. I haven't seen him, and I was blown away. I actually really liked kind of the blues infusion that they brought to it, and that organ player. Get out of here!
Yeah.
Get out of here!
They were great. I saw them in like 2008, maybe, and so it was like a vast difference between now and then, but a lot of energy. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And was it Friday night that Amigo the Devil closed the night out on the saloon stage? It was Friday or Thursday. I'm mixing the days because it was one big ball of fun. But Amigo the Devil was absolutely impressive to me. Like soul shaking, I would call it.
Yeah, really powerful lyricist and writer. Yeah.
And coming in so he played at 11 p.m. They had to roll in late. They just lost their house to a house fire 2 weeks ago. And so the emotion that was on stage, like you could tell that he was just full of like gratitude, but also like despair. Not in a, he kind of, his whole shtick is he's like, haha, we're depressed. Let's go rock and roll. He's got this like real kind of comedic, turn the other cheek type vibe about him. But I think the emotion of that, and like having experienced losing your house and relying on your community, and then to come to a show just like packed full, people turned out and stayed and sang along, and it was really emotional. Honestly, like I didn't want to leave. I was like, I would go watch this guy play. Yeah. So just super fun. Very impressed by him and his whole band. And Tall Trees was super fun to see. Like he was his little $55 Casio or whatever he was talking about.
Very different. Just one artist.
Yeah. Kind of looping and doing some.
He was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Rock and roll banjo vibe of sorts. I might be naming the wrong genre.
No,
that's it's kind of like really amplified.
Rock and roll banjo should be a new genre. You want to start it?
trip. Let's do it.
Went to the banjo
Yeah,
workshop.
I
did
was
go
gonna
to the
say, Brooke
banjo
is learning
workshop.
banjo, everyone. We will have weekly reports on how no, I'm just kidding.
Next year is going to be a vast improvement. I'm going to know at least 4 chords. And no, just kidding. I'll know more than that. Come on. If I practice all year, I'm
hey, 4 is all you need, really.
Yeah.
Just variations of that. Because another fun feature of the festival is the potluck pick-and stage. Yeah. Like there's sort of a campfire stage where they were doing not stage, but a circle where they were doing the workshops, and there were jams each night, which we couldn't even get to because of everything else we were trying to fit in. But I also feel like it's a late night, like if you're camping, it's a midnight plus type.
Yeah, I think there was some 4 a.m. Times people were talking about that.
Yes.
I just don't know if I could have made it.
I managed to run into a few people also just jamming at their campsites too. It seemed like almost everyone, at least one person at each campsite, had an instrument, and they'd come together and have little groups of jam time. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. I brought my harmonica, but only can really play the.
We heard it. You heard it. You played beautifully.
Nailed it.
Next year, catch us on the backwoods stage, everybody.
Yeah, oh my gosh, right. Oh, geez. In the round family band. Yeah, I love this. Actually, we do have we got some players in the studio.
Saw a baby wearing a washboard and didn't get a picture of that, but everyone in the family is invited.
Yeah. It's such a family friendly. I know, Brooke, you were saying like you would love to bring your family back. I mean, it is so family friendly. There's tons of activities. The family area has its own stage. And I was telling Brooke there was a photo that they posted the next day of someone with an owl on their arm doing like an animal. I know. And I was like, wait a minute.
I know we missed that. We didn't get back there for that part.
I was like really upset. But yeah, you saw kids walking around with ukuleles and like playing games and face paint, and there was a really fun sort of art installation meets kids activity where they could make puppets, and there was like a shadow puppet, kind of trippy. How do I even light projection thing going on?
And they had it behind the stage. And so it's almost like it was the backdrop of the music that when they were on the saloon stage.
Yeah, right. Cool. Yeah. And all the food was amazing, and all the different beverages. They had lots of NA options and also alcoholic options. People were walking around with the coolest looking giant ice cream cones that I wish we had gotten and we didn't. But that's
tried some mini donuts.
Got mini donuts.
Mini donuts. Those were so good.
Always a win.
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of variety, and obviously the campground at night I loved because everything was lit up. Also the grounds, just the way the trees were lit up.
Yeah, the trees were.
I mean, it just really, when we say magic, there is just something to that. They're really purposeful about, it feels very natural, but at the same time, there's all these fun little, tidbits of art that you find throughout the grounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really, really impressive. And given the rain on Thursday, I just have to shout out the whole Blue Ox team of the grounds team, one of whom you were familiar with because his name is Neil and he plays in them Coolie Boys. And we saw him running his tail off in a golf cart, helping people get out of the mud and just doing all sorts of things. And then they played just an incredible set. Them Coolie Boys has been playing every single year, basically, of the festival.
Yeah.
And they're so beloved. I mean, they're from Eau Claire, obviously, so it's the hometown crew, but wow, they're so beloved, and it was so beautiful to see.
The crowd was there for it, for sure.
Singing along, and it was true. And so just shout out to Neil and the whole team because the mud was no fun. There were buses getting stuck. There were, all sorts of things. And I was just so impressed at how smooth things still ran. So
yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
People helping people.
Totally.
It was great.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Yes, we will be back. Oh my gosh, we would absolutely love to be back.
Blue Ox. Block it off on my calendar.
We got to include a close up of that button. That's so great. Thanks again to the crew for letting us come to the festival. Thank you to Brooke and Laura for running around and being goofy with me and catching all this great content. We hope you've been seeing our photos, YouTube shorts. Absolutely follow all the things. Instagram. We're on TikTok now, y'all.
Oh snap.
We're on Lit TikTok, so definitely check out the content we've got there. And yeah, stay tuned for the next detour. Where should we go? Let us know where we should go next. Yeah. Although I will be on actual tour soon, but
Okay, so we have to find something for us to do before September and after October.
Yeah.
Thanks, fans.
After November. Oh my gosh. Winter Festival. I love it. Yeah. Anyway, more content coming soon. We have great artists coming up on In the Round. Thank you again, Blue Ox Music Festival.
Woo, we made it.